So this is an open question to anybody. What role do you think vision plays, visualization, in our ability to conceptualize? And is there a relationship between that visual ability and the ability to read and write, as opposed to just speak? So in other words, did people who were only verbal, let's say pre-modern people who could only speak, have less ability to conceptualize the world than of people immersed in print and writing and having the ability to read are able to conceptualize? Because it seems like concepts require some kind of visual aspect. You don't just hear a concept. You can hear a word, but the word itself is an empty shell. It's a vessel that needs a content. And the content seems to be provided by vision, or by a visual representation, an echo of what would have been an original presentation to the eyes and to the occipital lobe. Because, as human beings became, like you can see it in our painting too, at the same point when we got the printing press and we got Cartesian philosophy, we also got perspectival painting. We got Leonardo da Vinci and the notion that a painting should represent reality and that it should reveal a line of sight and three-dimensional space in it. So it's and this seems to be the stage that we're in now. A scientific materialist, an atheist, is usually going to be a conceptualizer, someone who knows what a concept is and doesn't overshoot the possibility like a Christian may, a Christian who has an idea or a concept of God that they latch onto to solve all the other concepts, because God becomes the tip of the pyramid that necessitates all the rest of the structure. And as long as God is true, the rest of this must be true. So it's sort of, if you just believe in this literal Christian God, you sort of have your whole worldview is set up for you, and it's, as far as you're concerned, quite stable. An atheist is also a conceptualizer, but they don't latch on to any specific concept except being an atheist. And being an atheist, I guess, really amounts to believing that in the end everything amounts to nothing and it's all going to fall apart. And so ultimately, concepts are a sandcastle. Being an agnostic, though, what does that imply? That seems to imply that you're willing to leave open the possibility that concepts alone can never contain reality, but that reality is still there. So you're willing to use the conceptual frameworks to sort of point towards the reality, and you never mistake the concept for the reality. But you wouldn't even call it conceptual anymore if you were agnostic. You would say, oh, it's just poetically, because not only is an atheist says knowledge is limited. Knowledge of God is limited, obviously. But they don't admit that the knowledge of the fact that knowledge is limited is also, just a conjecture. They forget themselves. They forget the assertion that they're making, the claim to knowledge that they're making. When an agnostic realizes that I can't even claim not to know, and that at the end of the day, it's probably not about knowing conceptually, because if we can only know metaphorically, in other words, if we can only know mythologically, which really means we can only know by enacting the truth. A metaphor has meaning because we can feel it. It's like something we already feel or something we already know. So in other words, we can only know things that aren't separate from us, things that we can feel with our bodies. A concept, it seems to imply with separation. And that's some rough etymology, but I think that might actually work. Concept implies with separation. And you can't know anything with separation, can you? You can build sandcastles, but they're going to blow away.